Hello, everybody out there. I hope you can hear me. We're going to go ahead and get started. Let's make sure that you can hear me. It's looking like it's good. Joy over here, my moderator, should be able to let you know what's going on. So if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask her. I'm going to check and make sure our sound is good. First, I want to go ahead and introduce myself. My name is Chelsea Cody. I am a 7th grade regulars English teacher over here at Sam Houston Middle School. And then over here, my moderator is Joy Sanders. She works at O'Banion as a 7th grade honors English teacher. We actually met each other before we met each other, if you could say it that way. We're both into Young Living Oils, and we had gone to some of the same classes together and then met each other, but then we were at I3 and we were partnered together, and I realized I've actually known Joy for longer than I thought I knew her. So that's just a little bit of a story about us. I don't know about you guys, but it's already been a crazy week. The kids are getting a little bit antsy leading up to Thanksgiving break. But hopefully I have a small solution to that problem. So tonight we're going to be looking into Classkick and how you can use that to differentiate for your students. And I'm telling you, it's something that my kids love. When I get my I3 day here on campus, it's something I'm going to be going over with my faculty because it's easy on the teacher. It takes a little bit of front loading, but again, the kids love it. And I've seen great outcomes from using it in my classroom. If you look over in the discussion box, you'll see I posted a Google Doc or a Google slide, a document that you're going to be able to use to click through how to use Classkick. Now, my recommendation is go ahead and make a copy because then you will be able to keep it on your drive, go back and revisit it at any time. Or if you're like me and you like a hard copy, you can print it off. And then you can have this sitting on your desk as we're kind of going through things. I know you didn't have it before tonight, but that's what we're going to be working on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen with you. It's going to look a little bit weird, but hang with me. What I'd like you guys to all do is go ahead and navigate to Classkick. So once you get to Classkick, you're going to see up here in the corner, it's going to ask you to sign in. That's where we're going to go. And if you're looking at that click sheet, this is where you want to get started because I'm going to assume a lot of people haven't used Classkick before. So if you go over here to the corner, go to sign in, you don't even have to click it. You're just going to hover right over sign in. We're going to go to a teacher account. While that's loading, I'm going to show you what the click sheet will look like when you make a copy. Now, you could edit these things once you make a copy, but if you want to see it without the editing, you can always go to File and then Print, or you can go to Print Preview, and then you'd be able to look at it without editing everything. So my Classkick pulled up, and you can tell already I have an account and I have a password that is saved. But if you want to be able to create your own account, you're going to go down here to the bottom and you're going to click Log In with Google. Now, the reason I want you to start seeing this Log In with Google button is this is how I have all of my students log into their computer. Because they already have their Garland ISD account. This is the easiest way for them to sign up for anything. Now, Classkick, it's going to be a little bit different, and we'll talk about that on our click sheet when we get to it. But for you, if you go ahead and click Log In with Google, you'll go ahead and put in your information. Make sure you choose Teacher because Teacher has a lot of the settings that are different from the students. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in because you can't do that part because I've already created my account. Once you click sign in, and it will take you to this screen. And now this screen, it looks like a whole lot of busyness, but that's because I already have a lot of my assignments and I already have rosters created. On here, you can see right away there's a class code. There's an assignment name. You can even see that there's a hand raised over here. These are all things that we're going to come back and look at. This is your home page. So I want you to look over here on the left side. We've got sessions. Session is live, and it can stay live for multiple days as long as you want it to stay live. Kids can log in as long as they have the code and they have their name to log in with. I'm going to show you a few tricks as we're going through this on how to make sure kids don't overlog in or that they don't have issues with using the wrong name, because my kids like to choose some wildly appropriate names sometimes. I like to limit it to their first name, last initial. So over here, we're going to go ahead and navigate to the roster because I want to show you how to make your own. So if you see here, I like to label mine by class period because for me as a teacher, that organizes my life. And I also like to make everyone a different color. It's an extra step to make it a different color, but for me, it organizes things so it's not so difficult. So to start, we're going to go up here in the corner. We've got the plus sign. You can assume that means we're going to add something. So we're going to go ahead and add a new roster. So if you're clicking along with me, feel free to add a new roster. I'm going to go ahead and make one for this YouTube live event. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube. You like to be funky and have 2 capital letters. So we're going to go ahead and create the name that we want. Like I said, I like to have a different color for every class. So if you click over here on the color, just because I never use brown, we're going to use brown. I think brown gets a little bit lonely. I like to have the bright colors. My advice is to not allow new members. And for the purpose of starting with the easiest possible, do not allow peer helpers. Now, when we're talking about differentiation, which is our focus, okay, one of our focuses for this month, exactly what we're trying to focus on tonight, you can allow peer helpers, and that's something that you could give as an option to students who work well together. For me in my classroom, I haven't gotten to the point where I can use the peer helpers. So right now, I would go ahead and get rid of the peer helpers. And I have never used a single device login, so I wouldn't worry about that either. Then down here, you can go ahead and add a new student name. Now, my recommendation is to use their first name and then their last initial, because then you know exactly what you're looking for on each student. It gets a little bit complicated if you have students that instead of going by Samuel, they go by Sam. Make sure that you're trying to match whatever they would guess right away. Or if you have students that might guess the wrong name, you can go over it with them. In my class, I will project up on the screen their first name with the last initial as an example so that they know what they're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and add Joy. Now I can see there's no assignment that's been assigned to her, and she hasn't logged in on this class because she says inactive. If I showed you some of my other classes, you'd be able to see that they say active and what assignment they're on if they were working on it. Now I can go back and you see that my roster is down here at the bottom. There's only one student in there right now. I have created a roster. So from that screen too, if I'm on this roster, I can export their grades. You see all this? You can build a portfolio. I don't do a portfolio on there because I hardly have time to get grades in sometimes. I can grade in an instant. I'm going to show you how to do that. I can annotate. Those are all things, but here's what I'm going to tell you. If you look down here at the bottom, these are all plus. There's tons that you can do without being a plus or a pro member, in my opinion. I don't think you need them. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to move on to page 2 of our click sheet. And we are going to work on creating an assignment. This is the one that takes the most time for teachers. You got to do a lot of front loading. You got to do a lot of front loading. That's the only thing. I love technology, but this Classkick takes a lot of front loading. Once you've made it, you can use it again. I'm going to go ahead and actually show you one that I've already made. And since I've already assigned this, if you look up here in the right corner, you could actually view my student work, which I'm not going to do, but you could see what the students have answered. So if I'm going through my slides, on here, the students would see this slide, but they wouldn't be able to move anything. Kind of similar to in Google, if I share something with you but say view only, you can't edit it. They don't have editing rights to move anything here. It kind of becomes a background. I think that's a good way to compare it. It's a background. They can still write on it. They can add things to it, but they can't delete things I've put on here. So here I have a little anchor chart, and I did a little bit of a matching thing over here. I have my directions up at the top. These are all things that I put in directly on Kick. It's not something that they had in there. I didn't upload a PowerPoint. I did this directly on Kick. And you can see I did 9 slides. I'm going to show you one more. So this one I did circle all the prompts that are considered expository. So the students would circle what would be expository and then leave what isn't. I'm going to navigate back to our home page. So now we're going to go ahead and create a blank assignment. So again, to create an assignment, you're going to come over here to the plus sign. We're going to create a blank assignment. I've never created from a file because I like to be able to make it in Classkick. I don't think it takes that much time, but like I said, there is a little bit of front loading. So first we're going to give it a name. So it's a beautiful name. I like to keep it private because only my students need to view it. But last year, whenever we were making these as a team and I wanted the rest of my team to be able to see it, I would choose share with colleagues, because then my partner teacher, who also taught 8th grade with me, was able to access it, and they were able to use it, add slides if they wanted, and then their students were able to see it. So that's something to think about. If you're sharing it with somebody, shared. If it's just you, private. I'm going to go for private because I'm not going to be sharing this with anybody. If you have the extra time, which I never do, you could add a description about what you're doing. So I could add something like, we are practicing. Obviously, I have really great typing skills today. I like the capital W and the capital E. I feel like there got to be some emphasis on there. We're going to do it. Down here, you can see that I already have 3 blank slides. Something else I want to share you really quickly is you can also see there are no classes working on this assignment. Once I assign it to a class, it will start a session and give me a class code. We're going to move on to that in a little bit. I just wanted to point it out while we're here. So I'm going to go to our first slide. All I'm doing is clicking on that slide, and it brings back up our slide view. From here, there are a few things that we can do. First, I want to point out that your slide kind of looks like an 8.5 by 11 page. Got an 8.5 by 11 page here. If you want to be able to view all of it, you can zoom out. Okay, maybe even an A4 page. Okay, nice and long, or you can zoom back in. I like to be a little zoomed in. If I want, I can change to a pen. Oh, my light just went off. I can change to the pen. My classroom lights went off. Hold on a second. You missed it, but I just did a little happy dance to get the lights back on. I can have a pen. I can draw a little bit. Except I'm not very good at drawing on the Chromebook. On the iPad, it's a little bit easier. Okay, or I can erase what I just wrote using my eraser. If you want to add a text box, you click that text button. Now, here's the thing I don't like about it. It's not as open, as flexible as you would say Google Slides or PowerPoint. Kind of what you can get is what you can get. There's no turning it sideways. There's basically just resizing or recoloring. So here I could say something like, read the passage below and blah, 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 blah. If I want to, I can change the color. Now, you notice it didn't change the color of the words because I didn't have it highlighted. I wanted to show you that really quickly because some people get very frustrated that they're trying to change the color, but it doesn't change. My students do that all the time. Miss, I'm changing the color. Miss, I'm trying to make it bigger. It's not getting bigger. It's not changing color. You got to highlight the text. And then here I can make it larger. I can make it smaller. I can also add an image. Or for me, I really like adding a link. And I haven't experimented with the voice because I didn't have a microphone. But now that we have our Chromebooks, I can definitely add audio that they can listen to. I can add a multiple choice question. Now, I like these, but you have to have the Pro. So like you saw on my other slide, I do multiple choice. I just type it out. The thing about the multiple choice there is it automatically grades it for you. So let's pretend we already have our activity done. If you wanted to add the picture, you could choose a PDF file to put on here. The easiest way to do the images or a PDF is to drag and drop it. I do this on my desktop. If you're going to do it from here, you're on your Chromebook, it would pull up your drive. I don't know if I have any on my drive. I guess I could put a picture of my face on there. Sure you guys want to see another picture of my face? Let's see if I saved it in my... I don't even know if I have a picture on here for me to use. Okay, we're going to stop trying to find a picture because I don't know if I'd be able to. Hey, we'll use one of these. So here you can see I was making a click sheet for Google Classroom. Say I wanted all of it, select all, or you could drag and get as much as you want. I'm gonna add it. If you wanted to add multiple pictures at a time, you could add it to every slide. You could add it to one slide. I could be on this slide and decide to add it to slide 2. Show you what it looks like. I can add another picture. On Classkick, the quickest way I found to add pictures is definitely adding them all at once. Because otherwise you have to keep clicking that camera and keep finding the pictures. Once you get to it, I like to stick there. So let's look at slide 2. There you go. There's my picture. Now the pictures you can twist, you can... You get a little crooked. You can resize, make it look interesting to the students. If you want, let's see if I can add our click sheet. I'm Control-Cing, and then I'm going to Control-V on the URL. I'm going to give it a title. Once you add a link, this is what it looks like. And then when they're actually viewing it, if they click on it, there is your link. So I've done it before where I sent the students to a page that talked about different things that you need in a thesis statement. Or if I wanted them to watch a video, I can link it here because you can't insert a video. And then they had to summarize what they found on that website about thesis statement. So that's something you can always think about. If you want students doing a little bit of their own research, it's a great way to put a few links in there to back up the content that you're teaching them. Okay, the last things that I wanted to show you when you're creating an assignment is up here in the corner. You can see that it says 0 points. You can change the point value. When I first did Classkick, I did not change the point value. And so when I was going to grade it, it created a little trouble for me. The good news is this assignment is live. So as students are working on something, if I add something on my end, it shows up on their computer. I can also add it on just their slides. Again, that comes in with the differentiation so that only they see it and other students aren't. But if I wanted everybody to see it, I could change it on here. So we're going to say maybe they had to summarize something about the click sheet. We're going to make it a 4. Next thing I wanted to point out to you is up here in the corner where it says all changes saved, or if a second ago you said it said unable to save. Just like Google, it's constantly saving. It's a live document, and so it's updating continuously. As long as it says all changes saved, I can exit out of this, and it will be just like it was. So we're going to go back to our assignment view. You're just going to click this little back arrow up here at the top. Pretend that I finished all my assignments, so I'm going to give it some more point value. Apparently these slides are worth a lot of points because I'm giving them a lot. The next thing that we need to do is actually assign it to a roster, because if I don't assign it to a roster, they can't actually work on it. So here I'm going to assign it to my YouTube event. And then from here, this code is what they will need to sign in. Okay. So I can copy this and just put it up on my screen. I could put this over on my projector. If I wanted, I could copy this code and put it into a Google slide. I've done that before, so I don't have to keep continuously clicking share. Or the one that I use the most is this classroom button, because I already have my Google Classroom set up. My kids know how to navigate there easily. They already know as soon as they log on the computer, they go straight to Google Classroom. So this is one of the things that I can do. I love this. This makes my life so easy. So you can see already, here's my little face up here in the corner. And it's going to populate all of my classes on Google Classroom. So you're going to see I have a lot. But if I wanted, I can easily post this by clicking my class. We're going to do this one because I know I can post it and then I can show you, and I don't have any students in there. Now you get to decide, do you want to create an assignment, ask a question, or make an announcement? In my opinion, there's no reason to ask a question because you're posting a code. So you're down to create an assignment or make an announcement. In create an assignment, they have to click turn in. And I like to get my students in the habit of doing that because that's kind of like them turning in a piece of paper to me. Even though something is on the computer, they're still responsible for turning it in. It can also work to do this make an announcement. This way they get a notification either way that there's going to be something there. So if you click create an announcement, you see the instructions are here because that's what I had in my details. If you wanted in your details, you could always type something like click on this link, log in using your first name with a capital letter, your last initial and the period. See example below. That's basically what I put on mine. And then I always assign a topic. Now this class doesn't have any topics because I haven't used it yet. The due date you could set when you want that to be. And then this link is going to be specifically for them. So I'm actually going to assign it. And then we're going to view it. This is what I love. It's just easy to click through everything. It's already connected for you. So this is something I'm going to be using on my campus to be doing a little bit of I3 work. You see, I already put in Classkick. Here's the link. Now I'm already signed in, so it's going to be a little bit different. I don't know if it's going to load quite the right way. This is what students will see. So if I wanted to log in as Joy, now granted, I'm not Joy, but I know how I put her name in. I would type with that capital letter. It won't let me in. I didn't put the right initial. And if you look, a lot of students get stuck on this. Miss, I'm putting my name in, I'm putting my initial in, but it's not letting me in. But if they don't type it exactly how you type it, it won't let them in. But I like doing that because I know for sure a student is not going to log in as somebody else. So we're actually going to log in as Joy. And here you go. Here's our assignment view. Okay, if I'm Joy, I can add on here text box. I read the question. Whatever you had to do. Okay, I'm going to put one more thing on here so I can show you so we can start wrapping up. If I go back to the teacher view now, I get out of this code. If I come down here to this roster, I can see what Joy is working on. If I had multiple students here, I could see all of their work. And from here, now I can start assigning grades. If I come to Joy's slide, there's two ways I can grade it. I can put a sticker on here saying, great job, automatically gave her 4 points. With my students, I have this one that says try again, And they know that if there's an apple, in order for the apple to come off, they got to fix it. And then up here they see, 0 out of 4. And then on the next slide, I would put in a little owl. She got it all right. Okay, so I use these little, you can see on this one, I go back in the passage, restate part of the question. Those are things I've had to tell my students a lot. If I return back to that homepage, I could see what every student is on. So see right here, Joy is on slide 2. If I go back and pretend to be Joy and go back to slide 1, on my teacher view, you can see Joy's on slide 1. Nice and easy. Now here's where the biggest differentiation comes in. If I see that Joy is having an issue on this page, I can add a text box and I can say something like, hint, you might want to re-look at the passage. Hint, you might want to look at these things. Now I'm going to come back on so you can see my face again. Let's see if I can get back to it. Hope you can all hear me still. Okay, so here we go. I am going to wrap it up. I'm going to have Joy actually take over some Q&A. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. You can email me at cdcody@garlandisd.net. And Joy is also going to post over here in the comment box a link to a 2 to 5 minute survey. If there's anything you still don't understand, if there's something on the click sheet you notice that I should change, please let me know. Again, my students have absolutely loved using Classkick. Thank you again for your evening. I appreciate it.